I wanted to just start by congratulating you and GARDP on the really recent and successful announcement around the phase 3 trial approval for zoliflodacin, and how important that announcement is coming so closely with the World Antibiotic Resistance Awareness Week this week. And wondering if you could tell me a little bit about how that feels at GARDP and the success that is coming with that announcement.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much for congratulating. And in fact, it's not on purpose that it comes close to the World AMR Awareness Week, but it's a good opportunity also to spread the good news. So we are very happy. It's been very challenging over the last few years. We know to our knowledge, is the first clinical trial that addresses a need identified by WHO, a priority pathogen as identified by WHO, and the results are successful. So we met the primary endpoint of non of we are in within the 10% non-inferiority margin compared to the comparator, which was ceftriaxone 500 milligrams plus azithromycin 1 gram. Now the work starts because we will need additional research, and I'm sure there's a lot we can do together with you guys. So happy to hear also what are you doing not only on STIs but other areas lately.
So congratulations again, because I know that was a tough comparator to overcome, and that there was a lot of effort. I would say probably sweat, blood, and tears that were put in across all of your partnerships and your partner organizations to be able to achieve that. So well done. And just to note too that we at Find we see, it's such an incredibly valuable contribution to fighting antimicrobial resistance globally, and especially in the low middle income countries. So one of the things that we're working on that really, I think, complements the work and shows how well Find and GARDP work together is around the development of a diagnostic test specifically for gonorrhea. So, for the first time, when we're able to launch that test, we'll have a very low cost and easy to use test that can be deployed into the communities to be able to definitively diagnose gonorrhea, which is critical for making sure that the patients that need zoliflodacin are actually getting zoliflodacin, which we want to make sure that the right people get it, and that the people that don't need it aren't being prescribed any kind of antibiotic, so we can preserve their use for as long as possible.
We need to also understand and acknowledge that we have had support from other people outside the organization, and probably I think it's important to mention WHO, who first helped us to identify the need and the importance for STIs and for gonorrhea. And in fact, as you know, we have signed also some time ago an agreement, a memorandum of understanding between the three organizations, FINE, GARP, and WHO, because they guide us in this focus. They guide us on the recommendations. At the end, we can only develop the drugs that they tell us are important or the diagnostics, but they write the guidelines, and we need to go hand by hand. So that will really help us to keep the focus in LMICs.
And it's been a really interesting tripartite relationship, right, between Find, GARDP, and WHO. And like you said, it was several years ago that we entered into that agreement. I remember when that all happened, and the amount of effort that it took to get us all around the same table and to really be working in the same direction. So it's a really important way of making sure that we continue to work, and I know we are, and with WHO to be able to set, the TPPs, and also just the different mechanisms of looking at what the needs are for the space within AMR, because it is so broad, and it touches on so many different diseases. Right now, we're talking specifically about one, but we know that there's a multitude of different diseases that suffer from resistance and that we have to try to tackle. So I like that we're starting to see the fruits of our labor, that we're starting to see all of these things come together in such a collaborative way, and that we're lining things up in good time for each other, because the diagnostics should be available as well in the coming year or two, and then the drug will be available for treatment of gonorrhea. And on the neonatal sepsis side, I think it highlights again that we're working together in this constructive and collaborative way. And we still have a lot of work to do, right? Neonatal sepsis is a really big topic that we have to tackle, and specifically how to address that in LMICs is extremely challenging. So it's nice. I know on Fine side, we're just really happy to have such a strong partner in GARDP to be able to tackle these hard questions together and come together at it from the diagnostic and the drug side at the same time, as opposed to trying to, bring these together down the road later and maybe having a harder time to get alignment then.
Yes, and I think the diagnostics are really important for us, but I'm thinking not only for us, for clinicians. And you mentioned preserving the drugs, that is important, but of course, to manage properly the infections. Providing these tools will really help improving management and controlling the disease. We've been talking about gonorrhea. WHO set targets for elimination. Really, without a diagnostic tool, we won't be able to achieve that. So it's very important to work together. Now we have something concrete to build upon. Um, let's hope also funders listen to us because we will need support to continue researching to integrate both diagnostic and drug in some research projects to understand how that goes together to inform guidelines and to inform clinical use. So it's really exciting days that are coming now with really concrete actions that we can probably start together.
I think the other thing we should just mention is, with 1.27 million deaths from AMR in 2019 alone, we really have a lot of work to do to be able to make sure that every patient has access to the antibiotics, right? That's part of the major problem, is that there's still a limited access to good quality antibiotics, and the ones that will treat the resistant infections in particular. So there's still a really big gap in terms of accessing the right drugs and the right treatments and the right diagnostics as well. And so working together to try to address that so that those numbers, that 1.27 million, is a different number and a lower number in the coming years, I think is really important.
Yes, and I mentioned donors and policymakers. I think we've been talking for many years on how urgent it is to act against AMR. It's probably the next big problem. It's challenging because some of these needs we know is going to happen, but they may not materialize now. They may only materialize in a few years. That makes difficult to develop new drugs, diagnostics, but also to take action. And I think again our strength together with good key partners like WHO I hope will help us put this in the table and discuss. A World AMR Awareness Week is a great opportunity to pass this message because we need not only the work that we do to produce or to generate evidence and to provide new products, but also we need a change that probably will imply other people, other actors as well. So really important days.
When World Antibiotic Awareness Week started, and we were talking about all the challenges, and I think it's nice to see that we've done some very difficult navigating and partnerships and work over the coming past years, and now we have some good successes to show, right? And we can point to the fact that these approaches work, and that if we keep building and if we keep investing in them, we'll be able to tackle other AMR diseases outside of STIs. And to your point around neonatal sepsis, it's really one of the bigger challenges that are facing LMICs is neonatal sepsis, and the complexity of the problem is very difficult. So it's going to take a team effort for sure to be able to really address what the diagnostic gaps are and what the drug and treatment gaps are to be able to make a difference in terms of neonatal sepsis rates in countries where they're suffering from very high rates of child mortality and infant death.
Yes, no, I completely agree. And the good news is that we are demonstrating with the projects that it is feasible, and that we can do that as public-private partnerships in collaboration with private partnerships, but also funded by public sector. And I think that is an important lesson we learned with the solifluoxetine phase 3, but also with the other projects. It is the reassurance that it can be done. A different model is possible, and not all drugs or diagnostics need to be developed by pharmaceutical companies or by the private sector. For us, in fact, we even mentioned that as one of our achievements when we communicated a press release, because it's a very important lesson learned, and it makes us feel optimistic about a new model or a different model to develop drugs and diagnostics in your case.
It's a really important piece of this complex puzzle, right? Is how to really address that and how to work with private sector, but then also how to really spur that innovation that we need on from groups like GARDP and Find, where we have to do some of that initial development work and that initial support to be able to get the attention that we need to finish the development and the actual validation and then manufacturing of any diagnostic or drug. So it's a complex space, and it's really interesting to hear the successes that you've been able to bring for zoliflodacin in that space. And I know they'll be translatable to other areas and other partnerships that you're going to put in place as you move forward with your other pipeline developments.
Yeah, so I think it's good to pass this positive message. Yes, there is another model to do things, and hopefully it will be better suited to address the needs in low and middle income countries. And that's why we mentioned WHO and their support and their work is very important because it guides us on the right direction. So yes, I think this is a positive note to all this conversation. These messages are important because AMR, probably like any other problem in public health, but I think AMR especially needs requires us to anticipate more because it's hidden. The problem is not so visible, it's not so clear or like any other disease, but we know it's coming. So sometimes we need to push, we need to pass this message, we need to raise our voices because we work on that and we know we have to anticipate, we have to think ahead and not wait until the problem is in our neck because it will be too late.
Absolutely. And we have to give hope, right? That there are solutions out there, that there are ways to tackle this because it's so hard to see, like you said, and it's somewhat invisible and it's so variable, I guess, is the other problem too with AMR, is that there's just so many different variations to the diseases and the presentations and the approaches to trying to combat them, that some people, it can get a little bit confusing and a little bit tiring to talk about all the potential different problems that may arise. So I think it's nice to finally be able to have a good message that there's hope out there, that we actually have some good solutions that we can put in place. We're going to make a difference, and that we're going to be able to do it again for different diseases that fall under the AMR umbrella. An
Uh,
exciting time for,
Exciting times, yeah.
yeah,
Happy to and happy to go through these exciting times with good colleagues like you
yeah,
and
it
others.
makes all the difference, right? To have
Yeah,
good partnerships and know that we have,
exactly.
yeah, that we've got each other as we're trying to navigate these difficult waters. So it's been an absolute pleasure talking with you and really and working so closely with GARDP. And I'll just finish too by just saying again, congratulations. I know it's been a huge effort and a wonderfully earned success from all of the team for all the hard work they put into it.
So yes, thanks a lot, Cassandra, for the nice words and same. Very happy to work together. And the work is just starting. So uh,
Yeah, with
exciting
lots
times,
more to
as you
do.
say.
Exciting times. Indeed.